Okay, Ken. So close to the $1 million. You actually got to the final three. What do you think was your biggest game move in the whole game?
It's not accepting where I was at in the Gen X drive and getting David, who was scared and neurotic and worried, getting him to feel confident that we were doing something that could be powerful, that could be a game changer. And then convincing Jess and Cece and those who kind of were on the fringe on the outside where I spend most of my life, and getting us together and flipping that upside down. Had we not done that, come merge time, we all would have been gone, because that other 6 was really, really strong. And had that not been broken up, we would have been a very, very different game going into the merge. We would have had Cece, we would have had Lucy and Paul and Chris and Brett and all those guys running the show, and instead it was a bunch of quirky kids.
The internet is not happy with the legacy. They thought it was kind of a letdown after all of this lead up of what might it be, and just to find out it was immunity. I think people are a little let down. How did you feel when you finally opened the envelope?
I mean, it was amazing because you never know. With this game being as random as it was this year, there's so many blindsides that in some ways didn't make any sense, or that we were surprised in Tribal, the live Tribal that continued to occur and consistently happened. Yeah, and so I mean, immunity means everything in this game, and whether it's day 36 or day 6, either way it's an advantage. I think people did have an idea that it'd be built up to something a little bit greater. I mean, we had people asking like, is someone going to come back into the game? Can you trade somebody for another person? Like,
that was my theory.
Really big dreams like that, but I think that would almost be outside of the scope of what's respected in the game. For one person to draw a piece of paper and be able to kick someone out of the game and pull someone back from the jury back in, like, yes, that's huge, but I think it's a little bit outside of the integrity of the game. There's still enough integrity left over where you earn where you're at, whether that's in the game or sitting on the jury. And I mean, it would be a little bit big to do something.
Do you have any regrets about voting out David in the Final Four there?
No, and David and I have talked 100 times since. We've cried over beers and explained it, and he knows why. Everybody who was there would have voted for David, guaranteed, and he would have done better than Adam. And we all know that. We've all agreed on that since. And there's one person that I was really playing for in this game, and that's my daughter. And at the end of the game, I was like, I will have to make a tough decision at some point in this game. I'm not going to be conniving. I'm not going to be a snake. I'm not going to tear people down just for the sake of having fun doing so. But I knew at one point in time that it would be a difficult decision to make. And I told him, I said, I chose my daughter over you. And he told me he would never have expected me to. He actually would have judged me more harshly had I not voted for him.
Is there anything you learned by watching the show on TV? Like any surprises by something somebody said or something you didn't know?
Yeah, but that I'll keep to myself because I'm going to be nice right now.
But okay.
Yeah, there's always things you see. They're like, oh, really? That's what you said. That's where you're at. And it's all right. But then you have the flip side where someone tonight, like Chris, comes up and is like, I voted based on what I saw in Tribal. He said, but now that I've seen the show, I know that I had nothing to do with you voting. And so a few people come up and said, yeah, had we been able to watch this season and then vote, it would have been different. So,
final question. They're doing kind of an all-stars season next season with the Game Changers. Would you ever want to come back on the show?
Absolutely.
Would you do it tomorrow?
Guaranteed, yeah.
Awesome. And what would you do differently?
I flew under the radar after making some big moves at the beginning. I pretended to be hurt so I wouldn't be perceived as the physical threat that I was until the end of the game, when I then won 3 of the last 5 challenges. And I knew what I was doing, but I didn't make it known to other people. So I would have maybe confided in a person or two that would have known what I was doing. So when they're sitting on the jury and they're back at Ponderosa and having a conversation of what's going on, they could have spoken up for him. But like, actually, this guy was doing this, and it would have helped out more. So I was a little bit too far into the radar with my moves.
Well, great watching you on the show. We hope to see you again in the future someday.
Nice to meet you.
Thanks a lot.